Hello, dear educational readers. As you already know, my name is Shadrach, and I'm back again to discuss with you the process of change management, which is section 7 of unit 2. Dear educational readers, in section 6 of unit 2, you were introduced to dealing with resistance. You learned different ways in which people resist, and some of the reasons for resistance. You also learned different ways you can use to deal with resistance at your respective schools. Dear educational readers, in this session, we are going to discuss section 7 of unit 2, which is the process of change management. The change management process involves mainly 4 steps. While the process may vary depending on the nature of the change management process usually involves, number 1, phase 1. We are going to be putting them into phases. Phase 1 is preparing change. During this phase, as a school reader, you will plan for the change process. You will correct and analyze data before you begin initiating the change. Phase number 2, as you can see it, is initiating the change. At this level, there will be dissatisfaction with the current situation. People should see the need for change. Create the common cause, balance innovation and routine, mobilize people for the change, and communicate the change. Now, the phase 3 is implementing the change. At this level, as a leader, you need to make sure you provide sufficient resources, create sufficient knowledge and skills, and manage resistance, because people will start resisting for your change. Lastly, we have phase 4, which is sustaining change. At this level, you need to celebrate quick wins and successes, respect differences in adoption time, and continue supporting people. Let's look at each of the above mentioned stages of the change management. Phase 3, it will begin with the planning, preparing for change. During this step, a school leader will ask themselves the following questions. Number 1, you need to ask yourself, what do I want to achieve with this new change? Again, why do I want this change to happen? How will I know that I have achieved the desired change? When do I want to change the change to be implemented in my school? Who are beneficiaries of this change? How much of this change can be done at the school level, by the school itself, or which aspects where my school will need support? After these questions are answered, you will move to the next step, which will be about collecting and analyzing data. During this step, as a school leader, you will make sure that you collect main data, which will affect actually the implementation of the change. After collecting them, you will make sure you analyze and summarize the data. And here you will need to know probably what are likely to be the advantages, the disadvantages, the risks, and the consequences which will be brought by this change. You need also to decide if the change is necessary. Establish common agreement on who, how, what, and when of the change. The next step will be dissatisfaction with the current situation. People need to know why do they really need the change to happen. During this change, we will consider, first of all, the change has to meet the real needs of people. That's the first criteria. And number 2, explain the desired future. Where do you want people to go? And create awareness of the gap between the present situation and the desired future. You need also to link the change to realization of the school's vision and mission. And again, give reasons for the changes. You need to give statistics. You need to use probably comments from parents and so on. Again, formulate the problem as a challenge which people can overcome when you work together. The next step is creating a common cause for the change. Normally, people are likely to not to embrace the change if they don't see it as a problem. So you need to make sure that people really understand and you have the common understanding of this change. Only people who own the problem will act to improve the situation. So the next step will be about balancing innovation and routine. It is very important to mention that change requires a lot of energy to become familiar with new information and procedures. Too many changes will lead to an overload with the people and result into resistance. In addition, you will need to communicate the change and mobilize people for the change. During this step, you will have to involve people from the beginning. Inform them how they will be affected by the change. Avoid vague announcements. Apply participative and distributive leadership model. You remember we learned about this before. Then create some task force or running groups which will help you to implement the change. The next step will be about providing sufficient resources for the change to take place. You will have to make sure that the following questions are answered. Number one, which financial resources do we have available? Do we have infrastructures which will help us to implement our change? What do we have to run? Where do we want to run? Again, you will ask yourselves, what do we worry about? Where we feel unsure? What are we already doing well? Are some people inside or outside the school already experimenting with this change? Where have we already built some experiences within our school? So these questions will help you to effectively manage the change. After this one, you also have to develop knowledge and skills for you to be able to implement the change. To be able to achieve this, look for capacity within your people, or you can look for people outside to help you. Communities of practice or professional learning communities can also help you to create skills among your people. Another important step to look at is to deal with resistance. In most groups, you will find the following categories of people. 80% will be innovators. These are people who will really act finding some innovation. Then 17% they are leaders. 29 of them are early followers. These will start following you. Then 29% are late followers. 17% will reject. So you need to make sure that when you initiate the change, you are going to find all these groups. Lastly, you will have to sustain the change. To be able to achieve this, you will start celebrating small wins. Try to congratulate people who are already doing well about the change. Then, create a visible success experiences at early stage. This is celebrating the quick wins. Try also to build evidence for the change and provide opportunities for others to join the change. The change is only sustainable change if most people adopt change. Now that you've learned the process of change management, I want to ask you a very simple question. Which step have you reached today about managing process? Is it probably, I won't do it, as you can see it here, I can't do it, I want to do it, how do I do it, I will try to do it, I can do it, or yes, I did it. To sum up, in Unit 2 of Module 3, was about reading change. We have learned a lot from this unit, from the section 1 up to section 7. We have seen that the change is unavoidable. Change is a complex process, change is a learning process, and change is an emotional process. We have also learned that reading change is a key skill for school leaders. As change creates resistance following the steps of the change management process, will help you to make sustainable changes at your respective schools. Dear educational leaders, we are coming to the end of our session. In this session, we saw different process of change management, which I believe will be helpful for you as school leaders, since you are agent of change in your respective schools. In the next session, you will be introduced to Unit 3, which is financial management in the school. Thank you so very much for your kind attention to this presentation. We will meet probably next time. Bye.